All right. Hey everyone. Hope you all having a good Monday. I want to do some more world building. So here we are. Gonna start off with cleaning up the map from last week. Before getting into the changes that you might notice around. Starting off with mostly policing up the trees, condensing them a little. And I figure I would talk a bit about some of the audiobooks I've been listening to lately. Right now I'm listening to the End in the Death by Dan Abnett of the Horus Heresy series of 40K. It's actually my first Horus Heresy book. Though it's part of the Siege of Terror, which I think is, bring it up on Audible, I think it's on like the 8th Horus Heresy series. It's way up there. Let's see. Audible, Death in the End, title details. It's book 8 of the Siege of Terror series within the Horus Heresy. But I figured starting at the end didn't really matter for the Horus Heresy because we all know how it ends with the Emperor being on the Golden Throne and Sanguinius dying. Spoilers, but you know, that's been a thing for, God, 20, 30 years now. At least since the 90s. But it's a good book so far. Really enjoy it. It starts off really heavy and awesome with a monologue by Samus. I guess I won't spoil it because it is a fairly new book, but it does start off with a monologue by Samus, who I'm still not certain who he is exactly about halfway through. I'm not sure if he's a pre-existing character. It's in my nose. So I've decided that on this map, zoom out a little bit more, that at least on this side of the mountains would be a rain shadow. Because here, nice and lush, a lot of rain from the sea. These valleys, less rain getting over the lower mountains, but still enough for grass, for grazing and such in some farms, especially over here. But over here, I think will be more arid. Over here, I'm not sure. I might put some rivers down there. Or just pretend for now that there's some other body of water over here to keep the Dawnbearer Woods. Either that or I might move the Dawnbearer Woods down here. Or here. Either way. That's why I'm moving the trees out of the far woods, and I'll probably delete the far woods name. But what was I saying about the Death in the End? Starts with an awesome monologue by Samus, who still not sure who he is, even though I'm about like halfway through, I think, because it's divided into 3 volumes, I think, and I'm fairly far along into volume 2. He is mentioned one more time that I've noticed since that first monologue, but he hasn't spoken directly again. He's only mentioned in another character's accounting. Let's see. I think the rain precipitation would be, how does weather work again? I think it would come up, condense against the mountains and roll down, so there would be some trees up against the mountains, and then the valley itself will be a little bit more arid, except for along the river, so I might move the farms around. But my favorite character in the Death in the End is by far Malkador's Sigillite, because I think his first chapter comes right after Samus's in the very beginning, and every chapter with Malkador is just a delight, because he opens up with a monologue describing how the Emperor makes his plans. I'll move some trees. Just the other side, give it some depth. Malkador's opening monologue is my favorite part of the book by far so far. It's talking about how the Emperor makes his plans and way back in the caveman days. And it's just a delight to think through, because it's also a unique, to my understanding, take on the cave paintings around like France and other parts of the world, and speculation on why ancient man either humans or Cro-Magnus or whatever types of man, used to paint them. But Malkador says that they weren't depictions of successful hunts or stuff like that. They're actually plans that ancient cavemen were laying out to use sympathetic magic to make reality, where it's like they draw a successful hunt, so therefore the hunt will be successful tomorrow. It's that kind of thing. And he uses that as a metaphor for the Emperor of Mankind and his plans. How he always has his handprint on them. Like how the cave paintings have handprints on them. These together so I can easily move them all as one. Do that. And I am going to make a dumping ground for trees in the sea to pull them out of later. Let's see. I want to move the pines closer to the mountains. Pines and then the other trees farther along. Just massaging these around a bit. Getting rid of these straight lines. There we go. That's looking a little better already. Go there. You can. And Malkador had his opening monologue about the cave paintings. I don't have notes. I'm just rambling because the book's been mostly a delight so far. It is. The only parts I'm not a huge fan of are what kind of feel like Dan Abnett's Special Snowflake Squad. And they haven't shown up in the middle act of the book yet. So I suspect they're going to come back at the end. I can't tell if they are from a previous book in the series or not. It kind of feels that way, but I'm not sure. But it's just like a group of characters that are a little bit overly eclectic, and they're sort of in the same style as Dan Abnett's his Inquisitor Eisenhorn series, where yeah, they're 40k characters. Yeah, I can see why they would be there. I just I don't know. Something about it is just a little bit off to me. They don't quite mesh with the aesthetic or the style of all the other characters, because they're up in a cast that's filled with the Emperor of Mankind himself, Malkador. They have Horus. And it's like, it's hard to put human characters right next to those and share the same acts and it not just come off weird. On their own, I think they would be better rather than being included in this book. And again, I'm not sure if they're pre-existing characters. They could be. Up here, on the other side, mix it up. You can over here. But yeah, I'm about halfway through the Siege of Terra, or the first volume of the 8th book of the Siege of Terra. It's wild. It's a great story, though. Horus's chapters in the first act are also really, really good, and there's a pretty fun twist towards the end of the first act that I won't spoil. But very fun how that's handled. Let's see. I don't want to move you closer to the river. But I don't want to spoil the that twist either. There is also a very, very fun twist that I can talk about because it's on a kind of a meta level. It's not really a narrative spoiler. Is it? Do I want to talk about it? Yeah, I will, because it's more of a setting mechanic for the story, or a framing mechanic for the story, more than a narrative mechanic. So throughout the book, there's constant talk, mostly from Malkador the Sigillite, about how time has run out, the clock's run out. And then there's a twist in the the second act where time has run out, but in a way that can benefit them, that the Chaos Gods did not account for necessarily, or at least Makador doesn't believe so. I don't know if that's going to pan out. That's just how it is with Chaos. Do I want pines on the lower mountains? That's a good question. I think I'll reserve the pines for the taller mountains. Oh, I don't want you to be big. There we go. I can have a pine forest on this shore. I'm also thinking of coloring these mountains and use color very sparingly to keep most of the map this sepia kind of tone, that it's the default color for the ground, and then leave the color to pop out with the structures and the mountains, not the trees, because the trees being green would be too much. But that way there's some color to, whoa, don't want that, some color to help guide the eye around, rather than just being kind of flat sepia with these dots of color. A little too frameless. Actually, while I am doing the trees, I can go ahead and do that. Where is my paintbrush? I want pure white. Impressed what those default colors are, so I will make my own. Brush size to be very small, and then I will pick out these mountains, and I'm going to do a red one on the lower mountains, I think. I'm going to see how that looks. Might not stick with it. I just have to try and find where the damn pixel is that colors the mountains. Just guesswork. Trees. Come on. Oh. So around there. That's you. 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 You and you. Don't you. White. Might pick you out as white. You are white. The Dawn Peaks. Did I name these ones over here? I did not. I haven't come up with a name for everything yet. Come on. Come on. Where is that pixel? Lawnmower, there it is. I'll pick you out. Pick you out. The Witchmont. Do I want you or you to be white? Do you want you to be white? And no. That's good. Let's find a nice ruddy red. Kind of a red clay. Gonna have to be desaturated. Ink. Ooh, bring it down. Try that out. Oh, let's try these down here. Red mountains. Might pick out the hills. Not sure on that one. Come on. Oh, I hate hunting these pixels. Come on. Come on. Nope. That's not what I want. Oh. There we go. Back that there. There you were. Come on. Stubborn. There. Zoom out and see how that looks. Very, very red. Kind of Martian red. That's interesting. Leave it like that for now, and I might change that later between streams. Sleeping on it. Looking at it again in the morning. Let's see. So, end the death in the end, or end in the death, whichever one comes first. Which actually I think is a joke at some point in the book. It's very good so far. I have no regrets hopping directly into it at the very end of the Horse Heresy series. And I've been a 40k fan since Dawn of War 1. I got into through that vector. But I've never gotten in, even though I've gotten to the other 40k books in some series, like Eisenhorn and Cyphus Cain, Gaunt's Ghosts. I've never wanted to get into the Horse Heresy series because it's such a monolith, such a huge series that, and it doesn't have any really coherent beginning point or jumping in point, and it's itself as a series is not coherent either because it jumps around so much. And some parts of it are self-contained, others are continuous series, others are wrapped up in the overarching story of Horus's betrayal in the Civil War. So it's taken me this long to even start touching it at the very end. But it's working out so far. Because again, it's not really a spoiler how the Horus Heresy ends. It's the premise for 40k. Because Horus Heresy itself is 30k effectively. And if Games Workshop was to be honest with themselves, the modern editions of 40k are actually 50k. But branding, they're not going to change it. Even though they probably should, in my opinion. You are a very big tree. Should not be that big. There we go. Other series that I've enjoyed are Eisenhorn, pretty good. The second book was a lot better than the first one, I thought. The first one, it was a little awkward. I think it was one of the earlier Abnett books. And Abnett kind of has a... especially early on, Abnett's understanding of 40k could be a little spotty. I mean, the most bad example that I can think of is the first Gaunt's Ghost story where I think what was it? One of these didn't want to move you. One of these soldiers gets like hit by shrapnel that's chaos tainted and then just like blows up into a demon host or something like that. It's okay, it could happen, but that's a little weird. It's stuff like that. But that's not exclusive or unique to Abnett. That's just 40k in general being a little inconsistent. And I don't think it's actually as inconsistent as a lot of people tend to say, or like, oh yeah, 40k is always retconning itself. It's making up its own stuff all the time. It's more consistent than people give it credit. But yeah, it is a thing. Biggest retcon that I can think of is the Necrons becoming space Egyptians, which is fun. It took me a while to come around on that, but it's fun. And then they just can't decide what to do with the Tau. Because, I mean, they took away the Tau's FTL completely, so no, they're just not even a factor as a spacefaring empire. Without FTL. That's whatever. No one really cares about the Tau, especially not GW. So that's fine. And closer to the mountains there. You guys are a little bit too uniform. I'm going to touch you up later. Pines. Trying to get a little bit too many pines, but maybe there's just a pine forest up here. Okay. Besides that, Gaunt's Ghost is always a good read. Although it's been a long, long time. I don't think I've ever actually finished that series. I forget what the last book I even read was. It's been a good decade and a half, I think, since I touched it. Pines. I'm gonna make a pine dump down here. Go up there. we can have more trees around Goretegazar. I think that's how I said that would be pronounced. More forest around that mountain because it's less maintained. It's groomed. Keep the pines on the White Mountains. Let's see. Other books, the Eisenhorn I mentioned is good. The first one could be a little spotty, but overall fun. Second one was pretty good. The third one, oh man, I actually forget about the third one a little, even though it's not the most recent because I'm in the middle of the Magos and I've been jumping around books. Third one was actually, the third one might have been my favorite now that I think about it, because it has the most legs. No. Actually, I completely forgot. There's some stuff in the Magos that is a little bothersome to me as a lore fan. Thankfully, I do not remember everything about it, so I can't get into the weeds on that right now. Besides that, Cyphus Cain is always the easiest recommend for getting into 40k books. Easily the best series, in my opinion. Even though that too has some canon issues, but that's more whatever because it's not a completely serious series. Bring these in closer again. I actually want to have a mountain up here. These were the tall mountains. I need to upscale. Fine. No, good. That's a good different one. You bring you down and get these hills with a pass between them. Then there's another place I can dump some pine trees, spread them out. Bands of hills crumpling the terrain. Just pass between them, that's good there. Those to be white mountains. Where are you? Come on. Bitch, come on. There we go. And then I want to scoot those hills a little closer. Okay. Pine trees off of Goretegazar. Pine around. The worst kind of trees. Yeah. I am currently, because I've been hopping around audiobooks, in the middle of, not even the middle of, I'm in the process of listening through the Magos, the most recent Eisenhorn book. And it's turned into a bit of a slog because, God, I think it's like a 20-25 hour audiobook, and the first half of that is not even he shows up in a few of them, but it's just a collection of short stories that are Eisenhorn like adjacent for the most part. And some of them are really satisfying. Some of them are like directly related, where they wrap up some side characters that got forgotten along the way in the second and third Eisenhorn books. So I might be making it sound a little bit too negative. They're fine. It's just an Eisenhorn quote unquote book that he isn't starring in until much later, when the Magos actually starts. These are too regular. Solve that by getting distracted. I don't want to obstruct that name. It's good enough for now. These trees. These will be more cleared away towards the heavy civilization area. I think I actually stalled out on the Magos because I hit a story that I just have no interest in, where it's a adept that's cataloging predators on some world, and it's just okay, whatever. Hard for me to pick that up and care about it. The premise itself isn't that bad, it's just not at all what I'm there for. Which is a shame because, I don't know, it could be interesting. I just have to get around to listening through it. I'm sure I'll pick up once I do that. But that's the 40k series for you. Quality is inconsistent at best. Come on. Come on. There you go. Do I want to color the hills while I am doing this? Not really. I might later. Stay focused on the trees for now. Okay. There we go. That's looking better. More focused. I'm going to focus up the town buildings as well. But it's a lot less cluttered. Let us scoot these trees around, condense them. Leave a clearing around these ruins. I don't have to care too much about obstructing that name because it has the glow on it. But that is also excuse to have less objects on the screen. So, you guys up. Not control move, just drag and drop. Let's see. I can start pulling from these. Oh, did not want to do that. Yeah. There we go. Let's see. I actually paused at a big cliffhanger on the death and the end of the death. I can't remember the title. Where they are about to board Harris's ship, which is not at all a spoiler, because again, that's just part of the backstory that's been there for like over 20 years at least. Because the Emperor just put Malkador in his big boy chair on the Golden Throne, which I have expected Malkador, because he starts to get a little sassy in that last chapter with him. I almost expected him to have some sassy comment about needing a big boy chair on the Golden Throne, because they just gloss over how the throne is logically scaled up to the Emperor of Mankind. And Malkador just started waxing poetic about how huge and lovely the Emperor of Mankind is. And then Malkador, this little human-sized man, which is still sounds silly now that I say that, but it's actually a fair enough description in 40k, where you have giants all around. Or Malkador is just a regular scale person sitting on the Golden Throne, which should be just dwarfing him. Which is just an amusing picture to think about. I think that's looking pretty good. I don't have to worry too much about filling all of that out. That'll just clutter it up again. Leave that fairly open. Same there. Yeah, that's already looking lovely. I can a little force on the edge of the map there through this pass. What other books have I been listening to besides those 40k ones? I can actually bring up my list, because I do an ungodly amount of commuting for work, so I just have nothing better to do but listen to a ton of audiobooks, which is how I read, even though I vastly prefer reading physical books. The Conan series, yeah. I actually need to finish that. I'm like halfway through. There's just so many Conan books, because they're serialized for a magazine written for profit like that. So there's a lot of them. The Fall of Cadia I have downloaded, not started. Emperor's Gift, the same. Assassinorum Kingmaker, I'm like a third through. I kind of stalled out on that one because I don't have a lot of interest in Night Worlds. They're one of the weirder factions in 40k that I just never have a lot of interest in. The knights themselves are cool. I just don't care about the worlds, the backstory for them, and why they're there. As like related to but independent part of the Imperium, it's kind of whatever to me. They're there even though I just ignore them. Because I don't think I'll need you. Now I can start with the Crown Woods. I'll actually come back to that area later because I want to fix up the graveyard and those ruins. I can start tightening up the towns around the map. There we go. But Assassinorum Kingmaker is good. It has a lot of good characters in it. That's what it has going for it because it is written very personably, and it gives you some very good World War II spy organization vibes, James Bond type stuff. Has a lot of those tropes in it. It's just fun all around. I want to move you guys along the River Flamberge, actually. I think that would make more sense. You guys like so. I think that's better. Tighten you up some more. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. Just so it's more coherent that there's separate areas. You, I want to move here. Because now there's not a town so close. I'll have to come back there and tighten those up. But yeah, Assassinorum Kingmaker has 3, was it 4? No, it was just 3 of the Temple Assassins. There was the Vindicare Sniper, who was the team leader. There is the Calidus Shapeshifter assassin, and one that I'm not that familiar with that's actually new to me for some reason, just never came up in my experience of 40k before now, where it's a tech-focused assassin, which is pretty cool. I like her. She's fun. And I found the opening to Kingmaker far more compelling than the meat of the story once it starts, honestly. Because again, it's the Night Worlds. I just don't super care about them. It's whatever. Go. But the premise that doesn't have any spoilers because it's just the premise. The Calidus assassin has to infiltrate a night world by impersonating a knight from it, which that process is interesting with an asterisk because again, it's night world stuff. It's heraldry, and my problem with night worlds is that it's just feels very, very redundant to me to the rest of 40k. I don't super see the point of that stuff in the setting. You guys should move the farm to the river. Those trees out of the way. You guys can. That's good. That way you have a little field there. The mines in between. Let's see. On here. Let's see, move you guys closer. No. I will move you guys to down here. With the rivers. Because this is the primo spot here between the 2 major rivers, because you're going to have all that sediment down here for the farmland. And I might actually add some more farms on either side. So I'm going to steal Redport's farms, actually. And I might add more later. Oh, I forget what I was talking about before. Cessnorm Kingmaker. Yeah, it's whatever. I might get back into it. I might not. I'll eventually get to it. Conan, I have to finish that too. I actually am more interested in starting the Grey Knights book, because they are one of the more interesting factions to me, because they are effectively the chapter of the Space Marines that's where do I put you? They are the Space Marines chapter that has the Emperor's gene seed rather than the one the Primarchs, which is a big deal in the lore. Although it's a small detail because they are a small faction. It's just an important one. Move you guys centered closer. Tuck you in. You're fine down there. You guys, I want there. Move you in. You. Where do I want to put you? I don't know about that. It's too close. Keep you over here. Actually. Move the farmland down there. I have to think about this. Could just move Redport over here. But that would, I think that would make that area too busy. I actually might not even put towns there, just leave the fields, maybe a few huts. No, I liked you over there. Then I'll have you there. That's fine, that's good enough. The farmlands, I do want to move along the river. The Fall of Cadia I am also very interested in getting into, because it's written by the guy who did Infinite and the Divine. And that is, I actually forgot about that. I think I like that book even more than the Siathus Cain series, because I was so surprised at how much I enjoyed in Necron's story. Because that's a faction that I like them as enemies. I don't really care about them as a faction. But yeah, it's just Infinite and the Divine is another one that's as easy as Siathus Cain to recommend to people new to 40k. That one was just a joy to read all the way through. Read, listen. Same difference when you are commuting so much. See, move you down there. I can move you guys closer. And you guys up. Go. So anything besides Infinite and the Divine? What else have I read? Bring up Bring up Audible real quick. He downloaded Arms and Influence. I'm still slogging through. I have to restart that one every so often because it's just so dense. But it's a fascinating book though. Let's see. Was last year, not this year, but I also read Apocalypse, another 40k book, and that one surprised me with I enjoyed the Chaos Marines in that way more than I did the Loyalists, which is different for me because usually I don't care that much about Chaos as a faction, either the Space Marines or Chaos itself. They're good enemies, not the faction I want to really engage with, but the main antagonist was such a charmer in Apocalypse. Yeah, that's looking much better. Because now it's less like those two towns are merging into each other from proximity. And that's actually looking like Redport is kind of extending out that way, which makes sense. Thing. I do need to put some buildings there just so it's not so barren, but I can tighten up Bergenvale. You see now, that's where they get their meat for burgers. Start with the pastures, whatever you want to call them. Tighten everything up a little. Doesn't have to be spread out. Come on. Apocalypse was also... Took me a few tries to get through it. Just because I lost interest from... What did I lose interest of? Because it was like 2 or 3 years ago that I started and then just fell off. Bland. That was the word I was looking for. It was just kind of bland for a long time. It has a couple of good chapters in the beginning that only come from the Chaos faction. Every time you jump to a loyalist is just kind of, yeah, I guess a loyalist would say that, but kind of, who cares? They just don't really do anything interesting with the loyalist until the very, very, very end. And even then, it's kind of... That book was a little off, but the Chaos faction made it worth reading, which is a unique opinion for me because I don't often go for Chaos. But when I do... You guys are looking pretty good. Guys up. I can bring you here. Over here. And you guys, I want to not tuck you in there. I want to bring you down here. You guys don't want to be too close to the wizard. Come here. Go there. And that's good. I will actually arms over here and just you. There we go. That is nice and cleaned up. I don't really want arms up here, I don't think. Might actually add more hill. Excuse me, dry throat. I might actually add more hills, I'm not sure, to make that kind of a valley. I'm not sure. Let's tighten up Summiton. I have decided that this is not a monastery, but a witch coven of sorts. The witches being the alchemists producing the Redsteel, which also known as witch steel, one and the same. Terminology I might change around later, but that's fine. Tighten you guys up. Apocalypse also ended with a nothing burger of a cliffhanger. It was... There's a minor antagonist that comes and goes, and they just cannot find any interesting way to write him. He's like a pirate captain, and it's just this doofus, honestly. I want to bring you guys up there. And you're not fitting. You're not fitting. There we go. That's better. Bring you guys up here. Yeah. There. It was also, I think, one of the earlier books around when they, I forget what edition it was of 40K, the war game. But I think it was one of the earlier ones where the Primarises were new, so they were looking for excuses to shove the new types of Primaris units in. And they try to hype up the Reavers as being super cool Batmen, especially being the Raven Guard Reavers. And it's just like, whatever, dude. Like, all right, they're jumping around in the grappling hooks, and it's whatever. Just didn't quite sell it for me. And that's not against the Primaris themselves. I don't mind the Primaris. I think they're fine. Especially now that they've had some time to grow on their own. As additions have come and gone. As they started to phase out the firstborn, as they're now called. I want to move you closer. Yeah. I'll have two different communities there. One closer, one farther. But yeah, Apocalypse, it was... You were there for the antagonist. Even the most interesting protagonist was an antagonist, which I won't spoil because that comes in at the very end. Anything I read last year besides I actually reread Lord of the Rings trilogy last year, which was... God damn, what a slog to get through those 3 books. I think I read through them in like... I think it was 1 month, and that was real fast for going through the audiobook version. Especially with all those damn songs. Great series. Tolkien deserves all the clout. But goddamn, I do not care for his elves as much as he does. Which might be a blasphemous thing to say, but... If you don't like his songs and you don't like his elves... The Lord of the Rings trilogy is going to be hard for you to get through. And that's why it took me so long to get through all of them in one cohesive go. The Two Towers was by far the best of the series. The Aragorn chapters. The second half of Two Towers was less good, but it was still better. The first book was pretty good until they get to Rivendell. Then you have to suffer the tyranny of the elf songs and Bilbo songs, and it's just... I'm not a fan of Tolkien's songs at all. Those things just kill the pacing for me every single time they come up. And I know there's some people, they love them to death, but that is not at all what I'm there for. Which is fine. Not every book has to be everything to everyone. It's just how it goes. I am running out of trees. I don't want to leave those like that. What I can do... if I just tuck that in there amongst the trees. Actually, what if I merge these? So what if I do that? How does that look? A little more interesting, because now you just don't have that block of L shape sitting in the middle of nowhere. There's no good way for me to... I'll just have a hermit somewhere. I think that's the best option. Put that in the middle. I will... I can have a shrine somewhere. That'll be a good shrine. You guys together so I don't miss you. And you... where do I want to put you? Ooh. I'll put you up here. No. Because I need a feature down here in the Crown Woods. I am just gonna have to tuck you in there and add more trees later to fill this area out. That's fine. Let's see. I want a hermit. Up here at Gore Lake. That Gore was, because it's a borrowed term from Gore Gazar. Instead, I think that was Redsteel Lake. That was too simple earlier. Have that on the other side. That's nifty. Let us tighten up these trees. Nope, you were a pine. So you there. Let's dump you. Leave. You guys are what I want to tighten up. Or semi-train rivers. And let's just move over here for now. And back to some stuff. Oh, is looking. This is much better already. So now it's a lot less cluttered. We have a natural arc guiding the eye around with the two colors of the mountains, white and red. So your eyes are always being guided around the map to where the key points of civilization are, especially the red. And then the white guides you around the distant areas to more less civilized features. This is actually a good framework for the map because we have different rings going around guiding the eye. I wish I could say I thought of consciously. Just kind of turned out that way. That's how it goes. You guys need some towns down there. Much smaller towns. Nothing too big. Just gonna use the small groups of houses. It's the same size. A little smaller, actually. Dot these around. These single buildings to make a new area. Want to get too big. Something up here. That is just about good. Any more houses I need? Not really. Too civilized. Don't like you, because you guys are sticking out. What do I want to put? Yeah, there we go. That covers both sides of the room. Let's see here. Well, that was... Time went by faster than I thought. It's already 2:30. So I'm gonna call it here because I have to wake up after a nap for an appointment. But we cleaned up this map pretty good. To go over, we condensed all the trees, colored the mountains to help guide the eyes around. Between streams, I did some renaming around here. Most notably, Ordo Seat of the Night's Witchsteel, which I'm still not 100% on. I'm gonna sleep on that, think about it, workshop it a little bit more. Over here we have Witchmont because I decided to make this a witch coven of alchemists of some sort, instead of a monastery, holy order. I named this Coven Vale, tying in with the witch theme over here. Bergen Vale over here for the cattle. I'm gonna maybe far fields or far wood. No, not woods, because that's gonna be more arid over here. That'll be far something probably. Far fields, far plains, whatever. Not that important over there. Anything else that I changed? I've been thinking of changing Redsteel Bay to something else Bay. Also thinking of changing Guild Ring. Not 100% sure. Also named this Gore Lake instead of, I believe it was Redsteel Lake before. But those are the changes to this world so far. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday now. I will be back tomorrow for making some dungeons in Dungeon Draft, which is the sister program to this. So thank you all. Have a great day.